really like to kind of jump into our first question here and talk a little bit about cash flow and financial controls. Cerboni obviously works with some of the best operators in the United States, immense amount of experience, working with just so many restaurants in general. I'd love to ask Jody, from your perspective, what are the biggest cash flow mistakes and challenges that you see operators make it? And what kind of habits are you seeing the best make that kind of separates people from the herd and areas where people will be able to copy and run with?
Sure. I think one of the most important things in this industry is knowing the numbers. We basically, every dollar that walks into our restaurant, we have 30% going to cost of goods, 30% going to labor. We have a very finite amount to work with on the rest, right? So knowing what our numbers are, I think, is critical. And I think some of the best operators that we have are disciplined operators, right? I like to talk to our clients a lot of times to really kind of identify with the fact that this industry that we love so much, that we've all had so much experience in, that we continue to support, is about two things. It's about passion and it's about pennies. So really we have to be aware of how many pennies we're operating with, and take advantage really of every opportunity to maximize and amplify our profitability and to put it back in the business when we can, or to grow the business when we can. And I think that that's going to be one of the most important things that really defines whether you're a single unit operator, a multi-unit operator. It's your ability to know the numbers and then to make good critical decisions with them.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. Like the mess that sits within expense data can be quite overwhelming. I know from personally working in restaurants, I've seen the chef's closet, or as I like to call it, the chef's office, maybe, with invoices stacked up, and it's very difficult to stay on top of it. I think ultimately, the more that you know about your numbers, the more you understand what's coming in, what's coming out, the better you can make a decision. When you're coming in to work with a client, like, what are those first few steps that you see Cerboni making that really makes the first immediate impact?
Sure. I think depending on the capacity that Cerboni works with our clients, right? We have a lot of clients that use a full range of our services, and that's some that basically want to use our inventory services, which has AP mapping and units of measures and those types of things always being updated and taken care of for them. But in whatever capacity that we customize a solution for our clients, I think the first thing we really want to do is make sure things are organized, make sure things are accurate, so that we're getting the best data possible to give people the best visibility possible. Because once we have an accurate assessment of what's actually going on in the day-to-day, then from a back office qualitative standpoint, we can start to identify where are going to be the best options for us to focus, what are going to be the best options for us to put additional dollars in on, how do we best maximize that profitability, or how do we best maximize any opportunity to get additional monies to grow the business continually. Completely.
Yeah, like I think that what I hear a lot of the time is like, how clean is that data? What are you really doing with that data? And for us working at Tab, credit card data is like the most messy data of all time, because anybody who uses a credit card now you have to ask them to hand in a receipt. You got to track it down, and that usually takes a lot of time. And what we've tried to do is build a process that makes it foolproof, right? So instantly capture that receipt, make it completely off the hands of a GM or director of operations who really isn't in the business of being an expert at expense reports. And what we find a lot of times is working with someone like yourself, Jody, is can I get this data in quicker? Can I make it cleaner? Can I make it more consistent so that that finance person, whether it's someone in your team or it's a third party you're working with, can now see more of that data, right? We can only make decisions with the data that we have access to. And the better we can get this data in front of people who know how to make decisions, the better those decisions become, right? And if we're not investing in the best way possible to make the most sense of what it is that I'm spending my money on, what data am I collecting, you're only able to go so far. Right. So the simpler that is, the more you invest in whether it be a process around AP and inventory and cleaning that up, or what we're doing on credit card side of things, the better you're going to be able to say, okay, this is what's going on today, and this is how I need to move forward. And when something happens, you know why it happened, and you know what to do next. The worst thing that can happen is you're just flying by the seat of your pants, something blows up, and you have no idea why it happened, and you're spending weeks going through expenses and trying to figure out what exactly happened. So prioritizing data cleanliness and really getting into understanding what your cash flow is doing. I see it time and time again as being kind of the separator between, a good operator and really a great operator.
100%. And I think you touched on a couple of things, and I know Tab has an incredibly, efficient and accurate way of putting that data in so that it's immediately visible. One thing that we always talk to our, clients about is, I think we offer a lot of services here at Cerboni, and I think we do every service that we have with hospitality. But one of the most important things that we can give our clients is timely, accurate data, right? Because that's what you have to have in order to steer the ship, right? And if you have that timely, accurate data, you can steer the ship well, make good decisions, and avoid icebergs, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're the Titanic. So I think you hit the nail on the head. It is about having things come through as accurate as possible, as timely as possible, because that does allow us to have the information we need to make those decisions.
Yeah.